Okay, so we'll get started. So hopefully everybody who's wanted to join has joined. So yeah, I'll just share my screen and we'll get started. Nice to meet you all. Okay, so I believe my screen is being shared now. Everybody can see me. I hope everybody can hear me. So yeah, welcome to the Python course provided from learningwithme.org. So I guess I should do an introduction about myself. So my name is Adere. I'm turning 15 tomorrow. 15, hopefully that's just said clearly. I'm turning 15 tomorrow. I enjoy playing video games. I like procrastinating to do my work, and then I eventually have to do my work. And yeah, I'm in high school currently, and yeah, so if we should all share a bit about ourselves just so we can get to know each other. Hopefully, everybody who's wanted to join has joined now. So yeah, not much is too much to say. I guess we can talk about learning with me. So I don't know how you guys found learningwithme.org. Maybe it was through family, friends, or something. But yeah, learningwithme.org is basically just teaching youth, teaching youth. Um, Thank you. Okay, somebody else just joined too as well. So yeah, learningwithme.org is basically youth teaching youth. We focus around helping groups of people who aren't really seen in the scenery of like technology and coding, like get their names out there more, I guess you could say. So yeah, we're going to be learning Python in this course. Really, our goal is to, after youth is teaching youth, we want the mentors. I'm play the role of a mentor currently in this organization because I teach Python. So yeah, we want the mentors to teach learners, which are the other youth again, and we want those learners to eventually master the subject or get really confident with their skills in the subject to become mentors themselves. The thing is, once you become a mentor, you get some perks, I guess you could say. Yeah, it looks great on a resume because you were leading something. You can get volunteer hours and you can get paid real money. So yeah, that's the role of a mentor. So yeah, hopefully you'll stick along throughout the course. Maybe you'll become a mentor, or maybe you'll go on to learn something else. But yeah, that's pretty much the course. So yeah, I guess we'll get started. People are still joining, so I'll just accept them. Okay. So yeah, this is day one of learning Python. So first we should start off with class environment expectations. So at times you may be asked questions, so I ask that you please answer them in chat. Some of us have already used chat here, so I'll just test it out just to hopefully you can navigate. I'll type in hello everybody, and then please look out for that. So yeah, I'm going to be asking questions. Please answer them in chat. Do your best to. Please mute your mic once the session is started as well. If you have something to say that can't easily be said in chat, so it's maybe like uh, a series of questions that you think is best not to ask in chat, you can unmute your mic and ask them. It is likely in the future we'll also be switching platforms where we hold these virtual sessions. So I ask that you just keep that in mind. And yeah, so yeah, so hopefully everybody is able to navigate to the chat. It's located more top right-ish. Hopefully we can see that. Okay, yeah, great. Okay, I hope everybody can see chat. Okay, so with all that being said, we'll get started. Or maybe before we get started, does anybody want to mute their mics? We just all unmute our mics. It's not too many people, so I guess we can. So maybe one by one, we can unmute our mics. Maybe say a bit about ourselves so we can get to know each other before we get started. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I also enjoy cooking. I think I'm best at cooking eggs. But yeah. Okay, anybody else want to share a bit about themselves before we get started? I guess for all the newcomers, I'll share something about myself again, since a lot of people didn't hear, if you're interested. So yeah, my name is Adere. I'm turning 15 tomorrow. I enjoy playing video games. I like cooking as well, but not all the time. And yeah, that's a bit about me. Okay, so I guess we'll get started. If nobody wants to share a bit about themselves, I'll wait 5 more seconds in case somebody does. This is a friendly introduction, I guess. Okay, somebody else is joining. There you go. Hello, Tyler. I believe that's what the name said. So yeah, we were just saying classroom expectations. Okay. Besides that, we'll get started now. So understanding programming languages. So before we actually start coding or using programming languages, it's best that we actually understand what programming languages are first. Programming languages can be categorized from the lowest and highest levels. If just in case if you want to just to clarify something, programmers use programming languages to build computer programs, but I'm pretty sure we all need that. Okay. So a language is considered high level because it is closer to human languages, so the languages we speak, and it's further away from machine languages. So a machine language, if it's closer to machine language and it's hard for a human to understand, it's considered a lower level language. So let's start off with talking about some like a scale, I guess. So machine code. So machine code is a language, and it's actually the lowest level of programming languages. So we also call them machine instructions, but mostly they are called machine code. So machine code is composed of just ones and zeros. We might have heard of this. This is called binary. And yeah, so for pretty much any human, just looking at a bunch of machine code, it looks like gibberish to us. The thing is, that's to be expected, and it's not like we're fully meant to completely understand machine code, because machine code is meant to be interpreted by machines, not by humans. Also, by the way, I didn't mention, if you ever have any questions or anything, you can put that in chat. Okay, so one step above machine code is an assembly language. So essentially, assembly languages are just a more friendly coat on top of machine code. So by that, I mean, with an assembly language, you see more familiar terms, and it's not just ones and zeros. So for example, you could recognize the term add to add something, you're doing addition. And yeah, so the thing is, assembly languages are still a very low level language, because once again, it's not close enough to human languages to be considered human high level language. Okay, people keep joining. So yeah, this is going to be recorded for you guys to view later if you've missed out. We haven't gotten too far in, but yeah, this will be recorded and you guys can go view the recording if you would like. Okay, so system languages to mid-level languages. Once again, this is another step higher from assembly languages this time. We call these system languages or mid-level languages. So a system language is anything we use to program the actual computer system. So programming the actual computer system includes the operating system. So for example, Windows 10. Windows 10 is an operating system. I'm personally on Windows 10. And if you didn't know, Windows 10 is programmed with system languages. And the more common system languages you might have heard of are C and C++. Yeah, if you're programming the actual computer and how it works, you'd be using a system language. Isn't it just binary? I believe I missed out on that message. Yeah, machine code basically is binary, yes. Okay, so now we're moving on to actual high-level languages. So application languages / high-level languages, we can call them either of the two. So application languages, otherwise known as high-level languages, are the highest level of programming languages. This category is more broad because a lot of programming languages fit in. So you might already recognize these, I'm not sure, because some of you might have already been programming with different languages, or you may be new to programming completely. So there's Python, there's Ruby, Java, C#, PHP. These are just some of the more popular ones, but there are a lot more programming languages that fit into this category. And yeah, so application and high-level languages are usually used to build consumer-facing applications. So by consumer-facing applications, I basically mean that they're being used by a consumer. So maybe it could be a social media application that's built for consumers to communicate with one another's. Video games, and yeah, those are some examples of consumer-facing applications. So it's being used by a consumer. So computers, something to note that should be heavily noticed is that computers cannot understand high-level languages. Okay, so we use high-level languages a lot. Those are the most common languages, stuff like Python, Ruby, C#, Java, and PHP. So how can computers not understand them if we're using them all the time? Well, the thing is, no matter what we do, we can never get a computer to understand a high level language. So the only way we can get a computer to understand a high level language is by somehow converting that high level language, that code we wrote, into machine code, because that's what computers understand best. So to this, we use compilers and interpreters. So compilers and interpreters both serve the same purpose. They convert human readable code, so high level languages, into computer readable code, so machine code. In other words, they convert high level code into machine code, as I just mentioned. So programming languages usually have many implementations. This is kind of more of a different topic, meaning that they might do some things slightly differently. So people create implementations of programming languages if their source code is open, and then they just make some slightly different changes. So because of this, if we're trying to say if a language is comply, or if this language is a compiler language or an interpreted language, we would have to say that that implementation of a language is interpreted or complied. Compiled, not complied, not the programming language itself as a whole. So I haven't really explained the process of these two, but we kind of know what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to convert them. So it's kind of like a diagram. So here's the difference between a compiler and an interpreter. So a compiler will convert the code into machine code before the program is run. So we can see that we have our source code. If you don't know what source code is really just the original code programming language that was used to write the code for whatever program we created. With that source code now, we put it into a compiler. So that's another computer program that's used to convert the code. And then that compiler changes the code into machine code. So ones and zeros binary. And then let me look at chat to see if there are any questions. Are computers provided with this? Sorry, I just cut off what I was saying, but could you explain your question a bit more? Are computers provided with this? I think I read that really late, so you might have to explain that again. Whoever asked that question. Anyways, while I wait for that response. So yeah, we put source code into compiler. What the compiler does, that changes into machine code, meaning binary. And the thing is that can create a whole new file. So if we're on a computer, we've probably heard of a .exe file or an executable file. Another file is, I believe, a binary file. So yeah, it's just an executable file, and we've probably mostly heard of it as .exe, so the file name and then the extension .exe. So it creates a brand new file that has that machine code instead of your whatever original high-level language used. And then from there, you can execute that machine code and you get whatever output the program had. Okay, so with an interpreter, what it does is very similar, except it does it differently. So it has the source code again. Of course, you have the source code, which is the high-level language you use to write the code for your program. Then now you put it into an interpreter, another computer program. And what this interpreter does is that as you can run your code through the interpreter, and then as you're running it, it will convert it into machine code for the computer to understand. So yeah, an interpreter will convert the code, or let me turn on this pointer so we can see. So an interpreter will convert the code into machine code while the code is being run, and then a compiler will convert this code into machine code before the program is run. So by doing it before the program is run, it creates a whole new file. Okay, so are they provided with languages for coding? Because I found it on my computer. Are you talking about compilers and interpreters, or are you talking about high-level languages? Sorry, I don't have the context because I wasn't looking when that question was asked. My apologies. I'll look at it more now. Okay, looks like a moderator answered that. Okay, so if you have any questions, just remember you can ask them in chat, and I'll do my best to look out for them. Okay, so now we've discussed computer or understanding programming languages itself. So we're going to move on to actually talking about the programming language we're learning. So we are learning Python 3, which is a high-level programming language, meaning that it's human readable and it's a lot easier to read for humans. Okay, so we've already said Python is a computer programming language. Besides that, Python is also widely accepted as the best programming language to learn first. It's a very powerful and capable programming language, and it's one of the fastest growing and most popular programming languages. It's a high in demand programming language that many employers seek. So one of the things that really stands out about Python is because it's very, besides it being very powerful and capable, it's also very easy to learn. It doesn't take too much time because the code is very easy to read, and that's why it's widely accepted as the best programming language to learn first. So your computer can let me look at this next question. So your computer can understand these languages through softwares. I guess in a sense they come. Yeah, I guess in a sense. I'll just continue on. Okay, so here are just some examples of careers where Python is commonly used. So these are just some examples. Some you might like stick out to you, like why would this be here? Product manager and financial advisor. These are just two simple examples. Of course, there are many other jobs that do stuff like this, but just imagine as a product manager, you're looking at a lot of statistics and you're analyzing a lot of data that has to do with maybe trends for what type of like maybe keywords or products are trending. So that has to do with product manager. For financial advisor, you're also reviewing a lot of data, and hopefully, as I mentioned, Python is great for looking at data. So besides just analyzing data with Python and making it easier, you can build games with Python, so you can become a game developer. Once again, data scientist, and you can actually become an educator of Python because once again, Python is a very popular language and many people are trying to learn it. So you can become an educator. You can become a mobile app developer with Python, or you can become a desktop application developer. And then you can actually also build websites with Python, allowing you to become a web developer. Let me see. But to run these programs, you need to have it installed on your system. You don't get it pre-installed on your system. We're actually about to be getting into that, so I won't say anything about that yet. So actually, yeah, these are just some examples of where Python or careers where you can see Python used. So these were off the top of my head. You can probably do a lot more with Python. Okay, so where do we write Python? So Python can be written in any text editor. A text editor meaning a place that allows you to edit text. So maybe Notepad, if you've heard of Notepad, it's a program that's pre-installed on a Windows machine for editing text. And yeah, so it can be written in any text editor, but for an easier and more efficient experience, you should write Python in an IDE. So an IDE stands for an integrated development environment. IDE is a software application that has many useful features and tools that helps make a computer programmer's job easier. So pretty much the best way to put it is to show you guys. So I'll be showing you guys in the future. Pretty much what an IDE does is that's an environment on your computer, so it's a program, and it pretty much has all the tools you need to create your program. So you have access to your file directory, so you can see the locations of files and add files. It has features where maybe you can auto-complete your text, or sorry, your code, if it recognizes things from previous lines of code. And yeah, so it just does a lot of things faster, and it's a great environment to use. So these are just two examples down here. You might have heard of an IDE called PyCharm, and this one is Visual Studio Code created by Microsoft. So these are two IDEs that are great. So let me look at chat again. Correct, some programs do. Okay. Okay, so going back to the question where somebody said some programming language you need to have installed on your computer. You don't get it pre-installed. Yeah, some things don't come in pre-installed. Python on most devices does not come pre-installed. So if you don't already have it, you can actually download it from Python's official website. So it's just python.org. You can type that into your search bar in your web browser. And yeah, so you want to download the latest version of Python, usually, unless if you want to work with an older version of Python for some reason. Something that's mandatory for this class, though, is that you work on Python 3. So that first point should be 3, and then any decimal after really doesn't matter. But I just recommend you get the latest version. So something we're actually going to do, we're going to get out of here. Or I guess one more thing I can mention is that Python is actually bundled with an IDE, which is great. And yeah, so we're just going to get out of here quickly, and we're going to install Python. So let me open up a completely brand new tab. Just close out of this for us. Pardon? Yeah, I'm about to show. You go to python.org. That's their official website. Okay. So once python.orgs load up, you might actually have the option to download right in front of you. If not, you just go to downloads and then you go to download for Windows, and this is the best version, so 3.8.5. So I just select that. It should start downloading for me already. And yeah, if you actually want to see the full page, you can just go to all releases, and then you can see the actual main page for downloading Python. So if you guys would like, I'll actually post that in the chat for us. Yeah. So this is the exact link to the downloading page. So once again, you should make sure you actually don't already have Python installed on your device. So if you have multiple people using your device, maybe they installed Python to do something. But yeah, it does not come pre-installed though, usually. Okay, so I've just downloaded Python. I've actually removed my old version of Python for this. And yeah, so we're gonna install Python. So if you guys would like, you can follow along. So I'll just wait 5 more seconds so you guys can catch up with me, and we'll continue from there with installing Python. So yeah, while we're here, so Python has many versions. So usually you want to stick with like the first point. You usually want to stick with that first number. So Python 3, that's the version most people are switching to now. The version that used to be most popular was Python 2. But yeah, we're using Python 3 for this course. And later we'll actually be talking about the differences from each version. Okay. 3 decimal. Do you already have that pre-installed? Is that why? Okay, I guess that works for this class, honestly. So yeah, we'll just continue going because we can actually see what the main changes were. So a security change. Okay, yeah, so it's not big of a deal. Okay, so yeah, for the people who are following along, I guess I'll show how I download Python. So you have the Python file downloaded. This is the launcher, I guess you could say. So once you've downloaded it, you want to choose where it's going to go. So I'm just going to show it in its folder because I actually want to move its location to another part of my computer. Okay, so it's downloaded here. I'm just going to move it to my installers. And when I go to my installers, I should see Python here. Or actually, I'm not sure if you guys can see that part of my screen. Let me make sure you guys can. Is everybody able to follow along all right, by the way? Okay, so I'm just in my file explorer where I can find files and stuff. So I've decided to install Python under a folder I created called installers. So we're going to launch this because I know this is going to start taking me through the process of installing Python. So let me minimize everything else while that opens. Okay, so yeah, I'm installing the latest version of Python 3.8.5. And yeah, so I'm going to install it now. Yeah, I'm not going to do anything special. I'm just going to add this to path, install now. Okay, so Python just installing. I have to accept something, and yeah. So it's just going to install, and once that's done, we can continue on. So hopefully everybody is able to follow along. Yeah, you have to press allow if that window screen pops up. The process may look a little bit different if you're not on a Windows operating system like me, but it should pretty much be the same if you're on Mac. I'm not sure about other platforms. Visual Studio 2017. Okay, so yeah, looks like it looks like a lot of people are using IDEs. I have Visual Studio 2017 on my computer. Yep, it's perfectly all right if you program with Visual Studio 2017. Later in the course, I'm actually also going to be using Visual Studio Code as well. So yeah, okay, it looks like you're already familiar with an IDE, so that's great. For just next class, I'll be using Python's built-in idle IDLE, which is just learning environment at the end. Yeah, just to show how it's familiar. And then if you want, you can go in and get your own IDE, the one you're comfortable with. Okay, so Python's almost done installing for me. And then once it's done, we can move on from there. So is anybody having any issues? If you're having any issues, yeah, you can put them in chat, or yeah, you should put them in chat. That's the best option. Okay, almost done. Maybe I should have not had to, maybe I should have not installed it. But I guess, I don't know, maybe it helped it, maybe it didn't. Okay, so I'll just wait for this to finish. I think I have a lot of tabs open. Okay, that's my bad. I don't know why it's stuck, but I'm not going to close it or else I could corrupt it. Okay, yeah, we'll just have to wait. I guess we can actually move on though with the slides presentation while that goes. And it just finished as I said that. Okay, so Python's installed now. I can close this now and I can open up Python. So I'm going to open Python on my second display so you might not see this. So what I would do is that in that search bar in my bottom left, I just type in Python and I see the option for the IDLE. I'd open that and it's loading. And there we go. So let me drag this up here. Okay, so I've opened up Python. So this is the first thing you see when you actually launch it. So hopefully we can see this clearly. Let me just minimize my screen a bit since something's coming off the display. So yeah, this is the first thing we see. So this takes us back to the presentation about the next thing we're going to talk about. Okay, so next thing we have to talk about is the Python shell. So when you first actually run Python, you'll be greeted to shell just as I was. So the shell is used to execute a single Python command and get the result. A shell is a user interface for access to operating system services. It's usually used a lot in operating systems. You might have accessed the shell before. I guess you can compare it somewhat to the terminal, but it contains a lot of information as you can see. So we're actually going to go back into that and we're going to kind of look at what it's telling us. So hopefully we can read up here. Let me see if I can zoom in for us through options. So let me see. Window, Python shell, configure ID. Maybe I think it's here. Okay, yeah. So let me just zoom this in a bit for us so we can see better. Okay, so hopefully you can read this now. So in this case, it's containing information for us. So it tells us our version of Python. That's the first thing it says. Has some more information. It looks like the date when this version of Python came out, so July 20th. We have some more information. I think this has to do with my CPU, not 32-bit. I think that's to do with the version. So yeah, it even tells us what we can do. So we can type help, we can get credits, and then we can type in stuff for more information. So once again, it's like a service area. So yeah, we can test it out. If you want to, you can. I'm just going to test out. We can actually type something like 1+1, and it'll print out the results. So once again, it's just for one use commands for simple returns. Okay, so we're going to try something else, or we're going to create an actual Python file now. Because where we write our Python code, where we write our scripts for the full programs, is actually not within its shell. We write it within its own Python file. So what we can do is that we can go to File. We can create a new file, of course, if we don't already have one we're working on. And it's created a new file. So of course, if we're familiar with like files and saving documents, of course, this one's saved, not saved, so it's untitled and stuff. So we could write Python code, we can save it, and then we can run it. So this class, we're not actually going to be writing Python code because we just want to get a slower introduction just so we don't get lost anywhere. Once again, if you have questions, feel free to ask them in chat or comment. And yes, we're going to go to the next steps now of what we're going to talk about. So that's just downloading Python, and that's where you should be hopefully by the end of this class. So once you have this down, yeah, you've completed the main task for this class, and hopefully you understand programming languages. So let us continue on. Okay, so extending your learning. So throughout this class, we're going to be using another platform called SoloLearn. You can download it on your device, or you can visit their website, sololearn.com. I ask that you guys please make a SoloLearn account and then navigate to Python tutorials. And yeah, from there, we'll start learning. So just to show you what you can do in SoloLearn and what it's like. So I'm going to type in SoloLearn. I guess I'll let it take me here. Cut off. I guess that's good enough. So yeah, you want to go to courses first. I'll put the link in chat for this. So I'd head to courses. And I'd see Python 3 tutorial. This is the top one. And you go to more. And you're within it. So I ask that you complete module one. In module one, I ask that you complete lesson one. The rest we'll be talking about in our own time. So learning is pretty simple. It does not take up too much time. It's pretty much just to keep learning throughout the week since we only hold these classes every Saturday. And yeah. So next thing that leads us to extra activities, we're going to do a quick question first. So this is just to test out that we're all participating with the chat function. We know what we're doing with Google Meets. So I just have a quick question. So what is the lowest level of a computer language? So if you guys could please answer that in chat, I'd be grateful. So you can just write A, C, or that's in the wrong order. A, C, or B, or A, B, C. Okay. Got one answer. Okay. Okay, nice. Okay, yep, okay. I guess I'll take that as enough. So yeah, machine code, and remember that's basically binary for the computer. That's what the computer understands. The computer does not understand high-level languages at all. For humans are meant to understand that. Okay, so yeah, the answer was C, and yeah, so that takes us to extra activities. So this part that's probably going to take up most of the time because most of us, or a lot of us, I think, are having trouble logging into our Learning With Me accounts. And yeah, okay, so here are the extra activities. So first, I'd like you guys to please complete the first lesson in module 1 of Python 3 tutorial. I've already mentioned that. I would like you also to submit a screenshot of your completion under the assignment on Google Classroom. Please also write a brief explanation telling me if the implementation of Python you download from the official website is a compiled or interpreted implementation. If you don't already have it, you should also install the latest version of Python from the official website. And that's just to continue following along with this course. So let's get into Google Classroom because that's the platform we'll be using to submit all of our work. So I believe you guys should have received an email for, first of all, your learningwithme.org email account, and then also an invitation to this classroom on that learningwithme.org email account. So this is what the classroom looks like. Let's see how many of you guys are in it. Okay, so yeah, majority of you guys have been invited to the classroom. So yeah, you guys just need to now try getting into the classroom. So you guys can unmute your mic now. Now's the time where we have to figure out why you guys are in the classroom. So you guys could try accepting maybe the invites. Is everybody able to get into the classroom? Is everybody just not looked at their email? All your mics are muted, by the way, if you were trying to speak. Okay, so if everybody thinks they're good and nobody has anything to say, I'll show the extra activities. So this is just an introduction. This contains the camp materials for what we discussed today. If you want to look back on it on your own, and yeah. Okay, so people are typing chat. Mine wasn't set, but I already know they will send it. Me too. Didn't receive the email. How do you do screenshot? Depending on the device you're on. So if you're for some reason doing this on your phone, very safe to search that up. On Windows, what I do is that I use an application called Snippet to snip my screen. This might be hard to show you guys, so I'll actually just search up. So short cut for Windows 10 screenshots. And then worst comes to worst, you can just use your phone to take a picture of your screen. And yes, look, this looks like the shortcut. I'm just using somebody else's website because I don't know off the top of my head. So yeah, there are multiple ways to take a screenshot. So yeah, you probably just have to search this up depending on what device you're on to take a screenshot. Okay, so print screen, function key, then print screen. Yeah, there are multiple. Windows key, Shift S, Windows key, print screen. Okay, so yeah, it looks like there are multiple ways. So I'll just test it out. I'll do Windows key, print screen. Okay, yeah, that did take a screenshot of the page. Okay, so that's pretty much wrapping up the class, but we have to get into the Google Classroom. So yeah, let's try to get into the Google Classroom. So I'll just check who's in the Google Classroom. Something else I should mention as well is the homework where you would submit your homework. I did actually mention that. So that's an extra activities for Python. I'll go to instructions. So you can also see the homework here as well. And then I have created an untitled document, like a brand new Google document for you guys to put in your work in here. So yeah, you could write your brief explanation in here. It doesn't have to be long whatsoever. It could be very short as long as there's an explanation. And yeah, that's pretty much all. So yeah, let's see who's in the classroom. Let's try to set that up. So let's, or maybe you guys are solving in chat already. I didn't receive the email for sending the password of my Learning with Me Gmail account. Okay, so first off, does everybody have, you can type this in chat or you can remove your mics. Does everybody have access to their learningwithme.org accounts? All your mics are muted, by the way, if you're trying to speak again. Okay, if you have access to your learning with Lashawn, okay, great. So have you accepted the invite? Have you gone on the account and accepted the invite for the classroom invitation? If you haven't, you can just go on that account right now. Go on Google Classroom and I can show you the joining code. So I'll paste that in. Or I'll just do like this. So this is the joining code. So it's Neo43H6. I can also put the link to it in chat. Also, remember that you also have to create a solo learn account. So there are multiple ways you can go about doing that. So you can connect a Google account or you can create a brand new account with solo learn. You need an email, I believe. So that is the joining or the invitation link for the classroom. Okay, so if everybody has gotten in successfully and you know how to submit your homework and work on it, that's the end of today's class. It was a shorter class, but next class we're going to get into writing a lot more Python, so be ready. So yeah, thank you all for joining me. And yes, I'll just leave this running so we can answer any questions. I put the invitation link, the entire invitation link in the chat, but I guess I'll just copy and paste the code itself. It's been put in chat. Okay, so yeah, make sure you download Python. You're going to need it for next class. And you can also get your own IDE if you would like. Can Python work for phones? If you're talking about trying to write Python, I strongly do not recommend you try writing it on your phone. You're probably gonna have to do a lot of like downloading third-party applications to actually start writing it. So you should do this on a computer. It says I don't have permission to join the class. The reason it says you don't have permission has to do with you being on the wrong account. So make sure you're on the Learning with Me account. Because Google doesn't allow like different organizations like domain names to like two different names to be in the same Google Classroom. So switch accounts to the Learning with Me account you have. And yeah, that's the end of the class, guys. So if you guys were able to get in successfully, yeah, you're free to go. But if you're not, just ask questions. Also, extra activities, since everybody's still here, extra activities. This is due Wednesday, so August 26th. Any questions, comments? Okay. I'm not able to join the classroom. Uh, so make sure you're on the Learning with Me account. You will not be able to join the classroom if you're not on the Learning with Me account. That's the only difference. So if you're on your personal Gmail, it will not let you join the Google Classroom. Didn't get. Sorry, your mic was muted. What were you saying? Maybe try refreshing if it, or may come in a second, or try refreshing. Okay, so yeah, if you have any questions, I'll be here. My camera's just gonna be turned off and my mic's gonna be muted. But yeah, that is the end of the class. Hopefully, everybody can join the Google Classroom. Once again, it will not work if you are not on your Learning with Me account.